What's going on YouTube? My name is Zach with Android Digest, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Samsung Galaxy Tab A7. And it's been a little over a year since I reviewed the Galaxy Tab A. I reviewed the 2019 model, and I have over 294,000 views. It was my very first YouTube video I ever made. I have no idea how it took off like that, but I just want to say thank you all for your support. Thank you for getting me to over 5,000 subs. And that's why I wanted to review this tablet, because it's obviously a fan favorite of so many of you. The Galaxy Tab A lineup, a lot of you are wanting a reliable, solid tablet for a good price. So I'm going to be reviewing this today with a lot of close-ups. I'm going to really go hands-on with it and let you know if this device is worth your money. It retails at $229. I've seen it go on sale all the way even down to $150. So I'm going to let you know if this is worth buying, and we're going to get into this review right now. Alright, so I've got the Galaxy Tab A in my hand, and I'm just going to start off and say this tablet is a lot better than last year's model, the Tab A 2019. In one way, it is about the same as the design. If you take a look at the front of this, you're going to notice, well, a black bezel that's going to be about the same size all the way around. Now, I know we're in a bezel-less world, but tablets, especially even phones, you need something to grip onto a little bit. So you do have a little bit of a bezel all the way around. Now, if you look at the bottom of the device, you're going to notice two speakers here and a USB-C port. On the top of the device, you're going to notice two more speakers, so you have a quad speaker setup in this cheap tablet. And on the right side, you're going to notice a power button up and down in the volume. And on the other side, you are going to notice a micro SD card slot. And hey, I forgot to mention a headphone jack on the bottom of this device. Now, I see a lot of tech reviewers, and they're coming after this tablet. They're saying it's dull, it's not very good, the screen is dull, it's an average tablet, blah, 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 blah. And of course it is compared to $650 tablets, because you have these entitled guys who only use the best devices in the world, and then they use a cheaper device and they act like it's a piece of garbage, okay? I'm here to tell you, I'm going to review this from a perspective of a user who normally buys a $200 tablet, okay? And I've got to say, this is so much better than the Galaxy Tab A model from last year. So that's what people need to be talking about, and I don't feel like they are. Because this model starts out at $229, right? And that's the same price as last year's model. But this year's model has a Snapdragon processor, but you have 3 gigabytes of RAM in the base model. Last year's model only came with 2, and I'm here to tell you, the difference between 2 and 3 gigabytes of RAM is quite a bit in a tablet, and it makes it a lot speedier. So the fact that this comes with 3 gigabytes of RAM, it is a very, very big deal. Also, another thing, a very minor thing, but some of you, this was a deal breaker last year in the Galaxy Tab A 10.1 2019. When you put a book cover on it and you closed it, and you opened it up, it did not turn the screen on for you. That was a deal breaker for some of you, that they couldn't even build smart wake technology into a tablet. It seemed like they've done it all these years and they didn't do it. Well, guess what? They did put that in this tablet as well. So they built back in the smart wake technology. They went from 2 speakers to 4. And on top of that, you also have the added benefit of 3 gigabytes of RAM in even the base model. And you have an SD card slot for extra storage, and you have this right here, which is a headphone jack, which most tablets don't have. So this is a great bargain, I'll just tell you right off the bat, for an Android tablet. And one reason is the screen. Now, yes, I understand people have been saying, some reviewers said, well, the display is a little dull and this and that. Well, again, of course it's a little dull for a tablet that's $229. Again, if you compare it to the Tab S7 or something like that, of course it is. Of course it's dull if you compare it to your $800 smartphone. But for someone who is looking for a budget tablet, this is a very, very good display. Now this is an IPS screen this year. It's not TFT, it's IPS. It's got a resolution of 2000 by 1200, and it gets up to about 329 nits of brightness. So It's not the best brightness, it's not the worst, but it still gets decently bright, especially when you need it to. I think at this price range, you're mainly just looking for a good 1080p screen, and you do get it on this display. I mean, it looks very, very good. It's got a good resolution. It's actually a little over 1080p. It gets decently bright when you need it to, and I think the colors look just fine. And yeah, I don't have a lot of concerns about it. If you mainly just want a good or a decent 1080p screen, you've got it here. So I like it and it works really well. As far as performance goes, I mentioned that 3 gigabytes of RAM. It also has a Snapdragon 662. And again, the base model does come with 32 gigs of storage. Now, if you're downloading super large games, that's probably a little bit low for you. If you do have a lot of music, you could download most of that on an SD card anyway. SD cards are really cheap. And you're going to notice this is pretty speedy for a cheaper tablet. Now, again, if you have a $300 or $400 smartphone, even if you're coming from a Moto G7, maybe you're coming from a Moto G8, those are going to be a little bit faster because they've got 4 gigs of RAM, a Galaxy S9, S10. You're going to realize those are a little bit faster because of the processor. So one thing you can do if it feels a little sluggish to you, you can go in the settings, you go to About Tablet, you go to Software Info and click on Build Number a whole bunch of times. That turns on Developer Mode. You click it like 10 or 15 times. And when you go to Developer Options, you could scroll down a little bit and it actually allows you to change the animation speed. Scroll down a decent bit, window animation scale, transition animation scale, and animator duration scale. If you turn those down a little bit to 0.5 or off, you're going to notice this tablet will seem a lot faster to you. And this tablet performs really well. Again, it's not going to be a gaming king, right? This is not a gaming monster tablet. You're going to have to play games on low settings, at least for most games. But it is still a really good tablet. It's still pretty fast. If you're used to smartphones $300 or less, it's probably about the same speed. And 3 gig of RAM will do just fine for you. Snapdragon 662 again is a mid-range-ish processor. So I think you're going to enjoy the performance if you're in that price range. It does the job if you're just looking to do basic tasks. If you're just looking to watch videos, if you're just looking to go to Google News and scroll around, you're just wanting something a little bigger for reading. Maybe you want to download the Kindle app. It works great for all of that. I think your average person will think this performs well enough just for basic entertainment purposes. I had to add this last minute addition to the review because I did a benchmark test between the Galaxy Tab A7 and the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. And I was really shocked to find out that the Galaxy Tab A7 actually performed equally to the more expensive Tab S6 Lite. So not only is this Tab A7 better than last year's Tab A model, but it actually outperformed or equally performed the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite from this year. So that's a very shocking revelation to me. So that's a big consideration when you're looking to buy this tablet. It's still not going to have that 4 gigabytes of RAM you're going to get in the Tab S6 Lite, but it's still going to perform equally to it outside of the extra multitasking that you'll get from the Tab S6 Lite. So this tablet performs great, and you should definitely consider buying it this year. Now another cool thing is that this does work with fast charging. Now strangely enough, from everything I'm reading, it seems to only work with a Samsung fast charger that's a 15 watt fast charger, and it doesn't work with other fast chargers that people have tested. And it doesn't fast charge with my chargers either, so keep that in mind. And it doesn't come with a fast charger in the box, but at least it may fast charge on Samsung's 15 watt charger. Now this also has an increased battery size compared to last year's model. So this does have a 7040 milliamp battery. And again, that is a little bit bigger. It's almost 700 milliamps larger than last year. That's a decent little chunk of battery. You might only get an extra 10% battery, but you will get more battery than last year, and last year's battery life was pretty good. So battery life will be pretty good along with the other Samsung tablets like the S6 Lite and other tablets. You're going to get about the same battery life here. Now, even though it does have quad speakers, they're not super loud. They're not going to be as loud as something like the Tab S5e, but they are serviceable. They're decent tablet speakers. They're not the best and they're not the worst. You cannot connect this to a monitor with any type of OTG adapter. It doesn't work with monitors that way. And this tablet, it's right around the same size as last year's tablet as well. It's just 1.04 pounds, so it feels pretty light in the hand. And another cool thing is they did move the camera here to the middle of the tablet, so it works better in landscape mode for video calls, which is a really big plus. Now, the cons with any Android tablet are normally software related. A lot of apps don't work in landscape mode, which is a big bummer. And I've seen the app Good Lock. I don't know if you've heard of it, but there is a Samsung app in the Galaxy Store called Good Lock. It does work with the Tab S7, and it can force apps into landscape mode. But this tablet, it looks like it doesn't work with it, or it's not compatible. So I don't know if anyone's gonna find a way to make it work. But for now, if your app does not work in landscape mode, you're just gonna have to use it in portrait mode. So keep that in mind. Some apps won't work in landscape mode. Some apps are gonna look really weird in landscape mode. And some apps just look weird on tablets altogether. That's just sort of an Android tablet thing, and it sort of stinks. Less and less apps are doing that. I think most of my normal apps, they look good enough for me, right? I don't care. I'm not quite as picky as some people. Now, this is very important to mention. It does not have a fingerprint sensor to unlock. It only has face unlock, and honestly, that doesn't work too well. So you're gonna have to use a pin or just go without security on this device. I think this tablet, if you're looking for a good tablet to buy and you're thinking, should I buy this tablet? As always, I say it depends. But if you're someone who, again, is really picky, you want the best of the best, and you're wanting to give this a flyer, I'd say you're probably gonna be a little disappointed, right? If your expectations are pretty high, you might want to go with at least the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. So going into 2021, I'm sure you're going to see the Tab S6 and some of the more expensive tablets go on sale off and on. So if you are someone who wants the best of the best, that's probably the way you need to go. Now, if you're someone who's wanting something for $300 or less, if you are someone who is wanting an Android tablet between $100 and $300, I would say you either need to get this or you need to get the Tab S6 Lite. Neither one of them use Samsung DeX, and a big differentiator is just the S Pen. Do you want the S Pen, and do you want an extra gigabyte of RAM? So a lot of it depends on what price you find them at, but I would wholeheartedly recommend this tablet to so many people. It is a big improvement over last year's Tab A. It is pretty speedy, it is pretty fast, at least for the money, and I'm really happy to see that the base model came with 3 gigabytes of RAM. It also has Smart Wake functionality in a book cover case, which is a big plus. And I find this is very good just for browsing, going to Google News, going to YouTube. I think this is a great device for that, or even doing a little bit of a presentation and holding it just so you have something big to read. It's also great for reading and a lot of other things. So I would highly recommend this tablet to you. And as a good alternative, feel free to check out my review on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. That is a great alternative, and if you find it for a pretty close price, you could bump up to get the extra gig of RAM and an S Pen. Otherwise, if you don't need the S Pen or you don't need that extra gig of RAM, this is still plenty fast for the money. Again, if you're under $300. So I'd highly recommend it to you, and I think it is a good value and a good buy, especially if you find it on sale like I did. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and please keep coming back for more tech news and tech reviews. Thank you so much again, and please stay safe in all these crazy times, and yeah, be careful.